Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very simple question. How come the innie and the outie don't know about each other and these memories aren't being shared? The question I have is, what is there to hide? And the answer is simple. They are trying to hide the true intent of what's happening for the innie, for the full hedonism and satisfaction for the outie. Make no mistake, the case that the previous speaker talks about only works insofar as everything is beautiful and fine and happy. So, where we're going to come in is we're going to cast a shadow of doubt in terms of that, and we're going to tell you how it becomes harmful for the innie, for the outie, and for the rest of society, because we think what we have at best is a problem-solution mismatch that truly doesn't allow people's capacity to truly deal with trauma and problems of the corporate rat race. We believe that compartmentalization, capitalism, utilitarianism is good, but it's not an absolute good or metric insofar as there is a risk of this infringing on the rights and liberty and consent of the particular individual. Yes, life is hard. Work sucks ass. It's very difficult to live in the world we live in today, especially for the urban poor. But we think that severance is ultimately akin to modern day slavery when you allow people and society to broadly lobotomize their ability to be able to compartmentalize themselves, in which half of them becomes a slave to the other half, and a point in which they do not consent to that, and you prostitute them in the very harms of the rat race. Even if they enjoy all of these things and they're happy and it's fine, we question the ability for them to truly have agency and make a decision. Because if you've been brainwashed or indoctrinated to the point that this is only what you know, your work lunches, your pizza parties, etc., but you don't have access to the outside world and the ability to truly make an informed decision, which can only happen when you have a multitude of data points, it's exactly what motivates our side of the house. This is essentially a value judgment debate about whether or not we should broadly allow society to be able to opt in and do these things. And we think the rhetoric thus far of side government is that, look, we're going to have great technology, it's going to be fine, it will work out. But my simple question is, in status quo right now, we have all of these things and checks and balances within the corporation, outside the corporation, but the point in which bad things still happen because people are kind of an asshole and people are essentially nefarious. They can be ignorant, they can be malevolent, is exactly where we have to protect the interest of the innie at a point in which there's no incentive structure or capacity for them to be able to get out of their situation. Before I move on to my case, sure, PY, yeah.
Is racist behavior because of how you're brought up or because you are born in as an adult?
I think racist behavior happens because people are bad. It doesn't really matter why or how it happens. And the point in which maybe there's some racist behavior within that corporation is the point in which that innie at best is indoctrinated to believe that it's normal or it's fine or that, oh my God, my boss can buy me a 5-star buffet meal and it's gonna be all right with that. But here's the kicker, and this is me engaging on Gov's paradigm that everything is fine and dandy and it's okay. But the only way in which that can be done is if you limit the agency and capacity for them to make a decision. Because you've conditioned or lobotomized them to not be cognizant of those realities, or you've stripped away their ability to make decisions at the point in which they don't know what their other half or the outie is doing. He's probably watching porn, jerking off, watching Netflix, having fun, while you essentially become a slave to yourself at the point in which you don't consent to it. Sure, Gov might say, well, brah, you're one guy, right? You consented to it. But the point in which you're unable to redact or rescind that consent at the point in which there's variable change. It might not be abuse, make no mistake. I'm not being a dick and defending like a very narrow burden. I'm saying that at the point in which you want to change jobs, shift, touch some grass, do other things, because as a consequence of you involved in that particular life, allows you the ability to truly be able to get out, and we think it's just not going to happen at the point in which you're already severed. What have we told you thus far? We told you that your innie is essentially a slave to the corporate realities, and the point in which you are stuck into this particular thing is the point in which you're likely to tamper on their personality, which is an infringement on the agency of those particular individuals. The problem when you allow this technology to happen en masse is that there's just no optics to be able to understand what's going on, bro. And corporations can wash their hands clean of what's happening and say, hey, we perfected the technology. No one is going out, no one is saying anything. But bro, the innie is literally stuck in that corporation, even if it's good, even if they like it, at the point in which it uses them as a means to an end to be able to benefit the outie. The intuition here is simple. My mech is, what happens to things outside the corporation, like labor unions and government institutions that are needed in order to be a check and balance against the corporation? Because of the previous speaker's response to my POI was, hey bruh, you can just talk to your supervisor. And then they also proceed to say that supervisor might be the guy who's harassing you or harming you. Capiche? There's exactly the problem. There's a conflict of interest and no incentive structure for that corporation to listen to you and shit, especially in status quo when all of these things internally and externally are available, but we still see all of the harms happening to particular people. Gender pay gap, racial abuse, being paid less, all of these bullshit corporate bureaucracies. The next thing we have to say is that even if particular individuals can opt into this thing because they really want to be able to have a work-life balance, etc., we think that's not necessarily true. Because it's precisely because of your 5-year-old kid that actually motivates and gives you meaning to go through all of these different situations at the point in which you want to give up. At best, this is a modern-day lobotomy and band-aid solution of what truly happens within that. They portray it to be fine and dandy, but the reality is far from it. Ultimately, what we've talked to you about is that the innie may not consent to this, will likely experience cognitive dissonance, and for all of these reasons, this is a scary Black Mirror kind of technology with harms. We reject it. We don't want it to go en masse. We are very proud to stand on side negative.